Hey, what's going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here for an early look breakdown of the Week 5 NFL main slate on Draftkings. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos breaking down NBA, NFL, PGA, and esports daily fantasy sports slates. Real quick, I do want to say thank you guys again for all support. Currently, right now, 5.15 thousand subscribers. The easiest way to support me with all the content being free is just leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you don't upload videos you don't want to go live. I will be live streaming for the main slate, probably at least an hour, maybe an hour and a half before a lock going over everything. So always it is important to check out the live streams. Also, if you guys cannot watch YouTube videos, I do upload an Apple Podcast. The link is in the description below, which is the DK DFS show. But with that out of the way, let's jump into the video. So before we talk about players and the prices for this week, let's take a look at the Vegas odds. And last week, I apologize for not being able to live stream. It was a travel day for me. I was super busy on Saturday, so I didn't really have enough time on Sunday. And honestly, I didn't play a lot. I only played like $50. Kenny Drake sunk my lineup once again. He's been super disappointing. Kind of done with him, but yeah, let's take a look at the over-unders and the spreads here for this week. So it doesn't look like we have all the games out yet, but let's go over the games that we do have out. So Cardinals, Jets, is 47.5 over-under. Cardinals are 7-point favorites here. The Bengals and the Ravens are 51 over-under. Ravens are 13.5-point favorites. Jags and Texans are 54 over-under. The Texans are 6-point favorites. Rams, Washington's a 45.5 over-under. The Rams are 9-point favorites. Eagles, Steelers, 44.5 over-under. Steelers are 7.5-point favorites. Colts, Browns, 48 over-under. Colts are 3-point favorites. And the Giants and the Cowboys are 54 over-under. Cowboys right now are 9.5-point favorites. And that looks like those are the games for Sunday and Monday. So, all right, as always, we'll start with the quarterback. We'll start at the top. Lamar, Mahomes, in play every single week. These guys have huge upside. Lamar is a guy that can get it done on the ground, right? 45, 54, 83, 53 yards on the ground. He can hit the 100-yard bonus. He's basically running back on a quarterback. The matchup's solid here. The only concern with Lamar is, can the Bengals score enough points to keep them, really for the Ravens have to score a ton. But have no issues wanting to go Lamar. I don't know if I would pull the trigger on him in cash. There are some cheap quarterbacks that I think look pretty solid this week. A couple plays in the mid-range as well. Mahomes against the Raiders, 7.7K. He's in play every single week, like I said. The upside is just absolutely enormous. You want to pair him with either Hill or Kelsey. No issue with that at all. So, yeah. Top two guys are always in play. Josh Allen has been amazing so far this year. 33, 37, 36, and 25 fantasy points the first 4 games. 7.5, though, we're not really getting him a discount. If you think he continues to play this well, so be it. You can pair him with Stephon Diggs, also been playing really well, but not really going to prioritize Josh Allen on the slate. Dak Prescott, 7.4K, going up against his Giants defense. 39, 47, 57, and 58 pass attempts the first 4 weeks. Now, sure, right, kind of gotten lucky, I guess, with Dallas falling behind big in a couple of those games, so they really have had to air it out. But the upside is massive on him. I'm perfectly fine if you get to Dak. Can get it done a bit on the ground there as well. Got a great matchup. Kyler Murray at 7.2. The only concern here is, can the Jets score enough points where the Cardinals have to really air it out? But he's been really consistent so far. 27, 33, 24, and 24 fantasy points. Again, 91, 67, 29, 78 yards on the ground. I like that floor with his rushing ability. I've played him the last 3 weeks. Yeah, I do like Kyler Murray a decent amount there in the mid-range. Also really like Deshaun Watson, 6'9". He's been disappointing, to say the least. They did fire Bill O'Brien. Maybe that helps out Watson a bit. The matchup's great here against the Jags. Maybe this is the game he has the big upside in. He was a little bit let down in such a good match there against Minnesota, but I do like the price in him. I do like the price in Murray. I guess a little bit more in the mid-range there. Not really excited about Big Ben or Goff or Minshew. Matt Ryan can now get into the cheaper quarterbacks at 6-1 going up against Carolina. I like the price in him, and we know Atlanta likes to air it out. If you want to pair him with either Julio or Calvin Ridley, always in play. So Matt Ryan is a cheaper quarterback. I do like a decent amount here. Not super sad about Tannehill or Burrow. Bridgewater is viable at 5'9". He's been decent, and it's actually interesting to see only 1, 1, and 2 touchdowns. So I guess 4 touchdowns through the air the first 4 games. I think that will go up. I don't think he's going to continue to average like a touchdown through the air. Like he's been solid, yards wise, right? 269, 367, 235, 276. The matchup is really, really good here against Atlanta. So I do like both quarterbacks in this game. Bridgewater's a guy that, occasionally can get done on the ground. We saw it 32 yards and a touchdown last game. So Bridgewater and Matt Ryan, I do like. I think this game does have potential to shoot out. Definitely not getting to Rivers. I'm going to pass on Baker, a tough matchup. Not going to get to Wentz or Fitzpatrick. Darnold is questionable. Keep an eye on that. Jimmy G also questionable. Let's see. Daniel Jones at 5'4". I mean, we've seen what teams have done against this Dallas defense, right? I know he's been not good. I know that. But, man, it is tempting. It is. He's a guy that can get it done on the ground a little bit, too, right? 22, 21, 49, 45 yards on the ground. An amazing matchup. They should be playing from behind. I kind of like Jones as a cheap play here for quarterback. Also, there's a couple other plays here. Derek Carr at 5'3", I like a good amount. Another situation. He's actually been playing pretty well this year. And they should be playing from behind. I like targeting quarterbacks against the Chiefs just because the Chiefs always score a ton of points. Makes the opposing quarterback have to throw more. So I do like Derek Carr. I do like Daniel Jones as cheap plays. CJ Beathard at 5'3", potential cheap option if he starts over Mullins, which I assume he will if Jimmy G is out. Obviously, again, we have to keep an eye on Jimmy G and what if he's going to be available. But that's really it for me. So there's some cheap quarterbacks down here, right? With Jones, with Carr, potentially Beathard that you can look to. Some nice plays in the mid-range, right? With Bridgewater, with Ryan, and then a little bit more expensive with Watson and Murray. Obviously, the guys at the top are always in play. So that's kind of my thoughts here with quarterback. Let's talk about running back now. Ezekiel Elliott going up with this Giants team. Love him at 7'8". The price didn't move. He's game flow independent. Doesn't matter if they're playing from ahead or behind. He's going to be utilized a ton. They fell behind there. He had 8 catches, 8 targets. Love him. This is a game they should be playing ahead. I think he does get more work on the ground. He only had 12 carries. Doesn't worry me a whole lot. Did get vultured there for Tony Pollard. And then in week 2, again, got vultured 3 times by Dak Prescott. So I think touchdown variance is going to go in the favor of Zeke maybe this game. So love him at 7'8". I think he is probably the top cash game play for running back. There are a couple other plays I really, really like, but love Zeke in both formats. Derrick Henry, always viable, 7Ks, a workhorse back. The concern with him is just no real involvement in the pass game, which does lower his floor a bit. But, if Tennessee's going to be playing from ahead, they are going to work him a ton. 31, 25, and 26 carries the first 3 games is absolutely insane. I have no issue with Derrick Henry if that's the direction that you want to go. James Conner, after he got injured in week 1, bounced back nicely with over 100 yards the last couple of games. He's a good pass catching back too. 6.9K is a fair price for Conner. I think I do prefer a couple other running backs at his price, but I think he's a nice play here in the mid-range. Again, getting utilized on the ground and through the air. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the guy I want to talk about going up against this Raiders team. Raiders are really, really struggled defensively. Love Clyde Edwards-Helaire here at this price. The price should go up a little bit, but he is a guy that's getting a majority of the work here for the Chiefs, and we know how dynamic this offense is. Really, really like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Again, he's kind of game flow independent as well. Work on the ground and through the air. So definitely one of my favorite plays. Robinson at 6'7", has actually been pretty solid. Against Cincinnati, had 14 fantasy points. Against Miami, had 30 fantasy points. He's been getting a majority of the work here for this Jags offense. It's a good matchup against Houston, but 6'7" kind of feels like a lot to pay for him. Sanders has been the workhorse back here for Philly. Philly's offense has been struggling, though. It was a tough matchup there against San Francisco. Pittsburgh matchup, not that much easier, though. So, matchup not great there for Sanders. Nick Chubb on the IR, so Kareem Hunt, I think, does maybe get a little bit more work. The concern is they still will utilize, D'Ernest Johnson, I think that's how you pronounce his name, or D'Ernest. He had 13 carries, so I think he probably steps into the number 2 role. Maybe Hilliard gets a little bit of work as well. So that's the concern, but Hunt, I think the workload does go up. Also, a bad thing is Colts defense has really, really been solid. But yeah, Hunt is definitely more viable now that Chubb is on the IR, 6.5K. Melvin Gordon, 6'4". Yeah, Patriots have been pretty solid defensively. I did have 23 carries last game, but they were playing from ahead. Are they going to be playing from ahead in this one? Well, maybe, if there's no Cam Newton again. So, which I think Cam Newton probably won't be ready for this game with, being had COVID a couple days ago. So, yeah, Gordon, again, okay, but not super, super excited about it. Mike Davis is another one of the running backs I'm really, really high on. Still no McCaffrey. Just been getting a ton of work through the air. 6, 9, 8 targets the last 3 games. It's an amazing matchup here against this Atlanta defense. So Really, really do like Mike Davis. He's looked really good too. So definitely one of my favorite plays, viable in both formats. Mixon against Baltimore, a little bit more risky. Had an amazing breakout game finally there. 45 fantasy points kind of out of nowhere, but it was a good matchup. This is a much tougher matchup against Baltimore. I think they are playing from behind too. It makes him a little bit risky. So I'm not saying he's out of play, but a riskier play there. Josh Jacobs at 6'3", I think is fine. Again, the positives are he has been getting utilized a bit more through the air. The price tag is fair. They should be playing from behind, so don't know if he gets a ton of work on the ground, but Jacobs is at least in play here in the mid-range. Taylor, the worry is they're still utilizing a couple other backs now for the Colts. Hasn't been getting a ton of work. Saw the majority of the snaps there week 2. Week 3, week 4, snaps are going down on him a bit. That's a concern there with Jonathan Taylor, so it makes him a little bit of a riskier option. Singletary, if Moss is out, would be a nice play for value, but that's only if Moss is out. So got to keep an eye on Moss's status. McKinnon, this is dependent on Mostert's status. If Mostert is out and Coleman is still out, then Jerick McKinnon does look like a nice play here in the mid-range. Got basically the majority of the work that last game, and it's a good matchup here. So McKinnon, he's also a really good pass-catching back. If Mostert is still out, I think would be a potential cheap play. Drake's is a guy I'm going to avoid now. The lack of involvement through the air really is surprised me. He was a guy that got a ton of work through the air last year. He's a really good pass-catching back, and the Cardinals are just not utilizing him that way right now. Again, it's really surprising, but until I see him get more work through the air, I just cannot recommend him with confidence. They should be playing from the head. Good matchup, but I just don't think I can pull the trigger on Drake, which means he'll probably finally have his big game after I played in the last couple of games. Let's see. I don't really want to take a shot on the Rams running backs. Right, Henderson got some ownership. Surprised me a bit, but again, I can't really rip on people who played Henderson because I played Kenyon Drake. I just don't want to take a shot at him. They have Brown. I'm just not willing to do it. David Johnson, 5'2". It's a good match against the Jags. We just saw what Joe Mixon did this defense too. So, yeah, he does intrigue me here. I think he's at least in play here for value if you need a cheaper back. Le'Veon Bell potentially coming back this week. If he is, I think he also makes for an interesting value play. Now, again, we have Sam Darnold's status up in the air. Could hurt the Jets' offense even more, even not like they've been good. But, yeah, Le'Veon would be at least in play here. Don't really want to take a shot on the Patriots running backs. Gaskin going up against San Francisco, probably going to pass. Devontae Freeman did get a majority of the work there for the Giants. It's a good matchup here. I had 4 catches and 4 targets. I'm actually okay with him. Don't think I can pull the trigger on him in cash, but if you need a cheap running back, he's someone that you can at least look to. And that's really it for running backs. So let's talk about wide receiver now. A lot of different ways you can go, for wide receiver, like Hopkins at the top, 7'9". You can pair him with Kyler. He's a target machine. So no issue with him any week. Ridley, Julio, I think both look good. I think the price tag on Julio looks a little better at 6'8" in this match against Carolina. Yeah, the upside is enormous. So really do like both Atlanta receivers here, even elevated price points. I like the upside a lot in this game. All 3 of the Dallas receivers are once again in play. Cooper's been amazing so far. CeeDee Lamb, Gallup also in play. 14, 9, 12, and 16 targets so far for Amari Cooper. The matchup is good here. The concern is, can the Giants score enough points where the Cowboys have to air it out? But yeah, all 3 of the Dallas receivers are definitely in play here. Diggs, again, he's been amazing so far. If you want to pair him with Josh Allen and think they continue this hot streak, I have absolutely no issue with that. Tyreek Hill, kind of the same thing, right? You can always pair him with Mahomes. The upside is massive, especially in this matchup too. So I like Tyreek Hill. He's got that big play upside. In the mid-range here, Cooper Kupp's always viable. Concern is, again, can Washington score enough points where they have to air it out? But he's been really, really safe so far this season. Will Fuller, if you want to pair him with Deshaun Watson, I like that pairing, right? The upside is there. Will Fuller does have the big play upside as well. It's a great matchup. The concern with him is just always injury prone. But, yeah, Will Fuller's been pretty solid so far this year besides the one donut there in week 2. OBJ, the big week last week, but now a tougher match against the Colts. I'm probably not going to get to him. Let's see. Crowder, if Sam Darnold plays, I think is an okay value, or I guess play in the mid-range, just because he loves utilizing the slot receivers, right? 13 and 10 targets. When he was out, we saw Berrios' production, so Crowder at least playable. Not overly excited about it, though. Other options, like I'm always fine with Gage. He's number 3 receiver and great match. If we can't get to Ridley or Julio Jones, I'm fine with him. And then we'll get to some cheaper options. So there are some cheap options in play here. Trey Higgins has been getting a good amount of work here for Cincinnati. 6, 9, and 7 targets, a game they should be playing behind. Again, tougher matchup, but I think he's least playable. Then we get to some guys who have struggled this year. T.Y. Hilton at 4.9 has yet to have a breakout game. Maybe this is the game against Cleveland. I like the price in him, and we know he has the big play upside. So again, maybe this is a breakout game. Kind of similar to A.J. Green has really struggled this year. The targets have kind of been there, though. 9, 13, 6, and 5 targets. Really, really cheap price point if you want to buy low. Him, T.Y. Hilton, they are super, super low price tags, both of them. Let's see. The Las Vegas receivers with Ruggs and Edwards, this is something to keep an eye on. If they're both out, then we have value. Again, we'll get to those guys in a sec, but there could be some nice value there at wide receiver. Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey, status up in the air. If they're both out, you could look to Greg Ward, who's been kind of the de facto number 1 receiver, so he could be potential value, again, assuming that both those guys are out above him. Golden Tate at 4.6, I just like the matchup here against Dallas. Obviously, Dallas has not stopped anyone. 5, 6, and 7 targets. Hasn't really had a huge game yet, but the price point in the matchup is very, very fair. So I think Golden Tate makes for an interesting value played there. Watkins has actually been pretty solid so far this year. Again, good matchup. If you can't get to Hill when you want a cheap piece of this Chiefs offense, I'm perfectly fine with Sammy Watkins. Other options. So yeah, then we get to the really cheaper receivers. So let's talk about, I guess, Las Vegas really quick. We have both the receivers. Let's go to Las Vegas. Where are they at? Both Ruggs and Edwards stats up in the air. If they're both out, you can look at Nelson Aguilar at 3.6, who got a majority of the work there at last game. Renfro out of the slot is always viable, right at 5 catches, 8 targets. Also, Zay Jones at the flat min price, 4 catches, 6 targets. So could be some potential here for these Raiders receivers if you want to go Derek Carr to pair him with maybe a cheap receiver, and then you can basically plug in whoever you want in your lineup. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. But I think that's really it for the cheap receivers and kind of who I'm looking to. Yeah, so let's talk about tight end here, and then I can get out of here. So tight end at the top, there's a lot of good plays. We just saw what Kittle did last week. Absolutely insane. 15 catches, 15 targets, 183 yards. The upside is massive on him, especially in a good matchup against Miami. Kelsey, great matchup against the Raiders. The top guys look really, really good. Mark Andrews as well, and Darren Waller on the opposite side. I like all 4 of the top tight ends a lot here. Not really any standout cheap tight end at the moment right now. So I am personally, normally I like spending down on tight end if I'm playing cash games. Right now, I actually am kind of leaning towards spending up. I really, really love the upside and the top 4 guys. Again, not a contrarian take at all, but love the top 4 guys. Let's see. Ertz, against Pittsburgh with no Goddard is fine, but I do like the upside a little bit more on the guys above him. I'm not going to get to Higbee at 5.6. Font status is up in the air. We'll see on that. Gesicki, tough matchup. I'll pass. Juju Smith at 4.9 has been good, but Buffalo's defense is pretty solid. Schultz is a cheaper play. I like at 4.8. The targets have been there. 10, 6, and 8 targets and a great matchup. So I do like Dalton Schultz more in the mid-range. I like Hayden Hurst as well. Talked about wanting to target players against this Carolina defense. I like Hurst. I also like Evan Ingram a good amount, 4.6. The reason being the targets for him, right? 7, 8, 5, and 10 targets. Again, this Dallas defense does not stop anyone. I like him. I like Tate as cheap options if you want to pair him with Daniel Jones. I have no issue with that. There are some cheap tight ends, again, with Ingram, with Schultz, with Hurst I like. But below that, again, there's no standout like really, really cheap tight end. Like, if you want to go Ebron, I think he's playable. Logan Thomas is a letdown, but the targets have been there on him. It's kind of it. Like, again, not super, super excited about like any of these cheap tight ends. Herndon's been a disappointment this year. Jake Butt, I guess, potentially if Noah Fant's out. But yeah, for me, tight end, it's maybe one of those top 4 guys, or spend a little bit with Schultz, Hurst, or Ingram. At least initially, that's kind of what I'm thinking for week 5. Defenses, we'll talk about more, I guess, in the final look as well as a live stream Sunday morning. So I think that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. If you have been enjoying the content so far, I'd really appreciate it if you leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, hit that notification bell so you know when I upload videos, you know when I go live. If you guys are interested in NBA content, I did upload my showdown video for Game 4 of the NBA Finals. But yeah, thanks again, guys. Hope you guys all have a good day, and I will see you all later.